Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Mateo from the future, and before we get into the podcast, I do want to add just a little bit of a disclaimer. So, unfortunately, the microphones that we were using, I guess they weren't plugged in completely, so there's some clicking in particular parts and a little bit of static in different parts. We have gotten new microphones in the time since we recorded these, so that will not be a problem in the future, but if you guys could just bear with us and get past it for the first couple of episodes, that would be great. It's just, one of those things of learning and growing as we go. But other than that, we had a great time recording this, and enjoy the show. All right, we are recording?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Do you want to do the introduction or me or?
Hey, you go ahead. You go ahead first.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. My name is Mateo.
My name is Zachary Dockal.
And this is the anti-hero method. So, basically what this podcast is just going to be the two of us talking about all things movies, television, and pop culture. Just a brief introduction. Do you want to just tell them a little bit?
Yeah, me first or you?
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Zach. I'm a filmmaker here in Houston. I'm also a photographer here in Houston. I just graduated from UHCL with a communications degree, which is, the most expensive piece of paper that I feel like I wasted 5 years of my life on. But we won't get into that. That's for a different episode. I was also an actor first, and that's actually how we met. Yeah. Because you were starting up a film for your class at HCC, right?
Yes. Yeah, so just a brief intro about me. My name is Mateo. In my day job, I am a wedding and event photographer and videographer. I do as well just kind of love all things pop culture. And yes, the way that me and Zachary met was through a mutual friend while working on one of my college projects.
Shout out Anna, by the way.
Yeah. We met through Instagram, and you were actually one of the first people that I worked with that were like legit talent. What I mean by that is, like, up until this point, I would just kind of like cast people that at the time I was close to. It really didn't matter about their actual like talent or like acting, chops. And that's not to discredit the people that I worked with. I did work with some talented people, but with you, I definitely could tell there was a like change of like, okay, like he actually like does want to do this as his career. He cares about the way that this project turns out just as much, right?
And likewise, I felt the same way whenever I got the message from you, because I've gotten like a lot of messages from a lot of people that were like turned out to be like nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where people were like, hey, I have this project, or I have, this short film that I want to do, and then, you'll hear from them, and then like, a year will go by and they'll be like, oh, I'm just going through like a career change. I don't know what it is. And, stuff like that. So stupid stuff like that. But like, it was cool to like actually be involved with that short film, because that was like, it looked really professional the way it came out, and it felt very professional, but it was just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just real. I don't know.
That was about 2 years ago. And right.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
And in the time since, we've worked on a few projects with each other. And when I wanted to do this podcast, like legit, like there was nobody else, you know what I mean, that I wanted to do this with. And I think we have gotten to know a lot about one another in this time. But I do feel like there still is a lot of things about one another to, learn and to talk about.
Okay, let me just address my nightlight collection right here. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I agree. So I think this is going to be a kind of a fun little adventure. Yeah. I'm excited. to get into it.
And without further ado, let's get into the anti-hero method. Because we are about halfway through 2021, let's actually go back and kind of talk about what are the big major movies and possibly TV that has come out till this point. There was Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, I'm going to just full disclosure. I did not see Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know that's like a cinema sin
Yeah.
nowadays.
Did you watch the one that came out previously?
I didn't
Oh,
even
no?
watch the first one. I know that he left that project early on because of his daughter.
Yes.
You know, I feel horrible for that. My condolences to him and his family. But I don't know. I just didn't think that it was going to be like, I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings about the DC universe because I loved, like, a lot of people like either really love like Batman versus Superman or really hated Batman versus Superman, and like I didn't really like feel like it really grabbed me as much as like Shazam did, for example, because I love Shazam, and Wonder Woman was really good. Yeah. But I don't know. It's been hit or miss.
What do you think of Zack Snyder, just kind of like his directing in general?
I think that he's actually done what a lot of filmmakers kind of aspire to do, and he really like has like a certain look and aesthetic of all his films. Like you immediately recognize a Zack Snyder film from like, say, a Tim Burton film. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. And they both are kind of have like this really kind of almost gritty, kind of dark kind of aesthetic sometimes. But they also do it so differently that it's like easily recognizable amongst fans and amongst newcomers as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When it comes to the films that he did within the DC universe, beginning with Man of Steel, which I didn't like when it came out, but then as time went on, I kind of grew to like it. And then with Batman vs. Superman, I actually have not watched that.
Really?
As well, yeah. When the Joss Whedon cut came out, I did like it more than I was expecting to, but it was definitely very choppy. To be honest, I don't know if it's because of just how much people pushed for the Zack Snyder cut to be created, but when I watched it, I did really just like have this appreciation just that we could, right? Like that this was the result of people getting behind a project that they believed in, and they did what I don't think has ever been done, right? Like up to this point in time, which was like make a major production house to like change their perspective, which it's because of that choice why Warner Bros. Is now being traded over. Yeah.
There's a lot of controversy going on with Warner Bros. Right now.
Yeah, they're in a pretty interesting, just like they're in a pretty interesting spot. But in terms of Zack Snyder's Justice League, I did believe it was a huge just like improvement from the Joss Whedon one, and I did have a good time with it. I don't know how much rewatchability that it has. I don't know that I will ever go back and like
Yeah. But Zack Snyder kind of has that effect with all of his films, and it's not to say that they're not like, you know, good films or anything like that. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, those films are kind of like an experience that you can only kind of have one time. It's like riding inside the tube of a wave, you know what I'm saying? It's an amazing experience. You're not going to catch it every single time, so it's like, you know. Yeah. But by the way, before I talk any further, I do want to say that Whedon has done an amazing work, and I feel bad for Whedon because I feel like when you come out with a film like that, when you take over a project and there's so many fans who just don't want you to take over that project, they don't want anyone else to have the project, and it's kind of like doomed to fail from the beginning. I mean, yeah, it's a paycheck, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's not really fair to Whedon and his work. I mean, he co-wrote Toy Story. You know what I'm saying? He's done a lot of great stuff, so I feel like he kind of got. People talk about him, and sometimes it's like, or at least my friends anyway, I've spoken about him, and it's like, dude, chill out. You know what I mean? Like, chill out. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, but he did come under for some type of controversy, though.
Oh, then cut that part out. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah, he got the whole Me Too kind of treatment. Yeah.
Oh, cut that part out. Cut that part out. I don't know what's going on, dude. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm so disconnected. I'm just trying not to offend anybody.
Yeah, so let's continue on to a film that you really wanted.
I am so excited to talk about this film with you because I feel like you have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. Godzilla vs. Kong was visually like one of the coolest films ever, especially like coming out in the middle of like the pandemic that we're in right now. Like, because Hollywood's moving so slow right now and they're not doing really anything still. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe they are, but it feels like they're not. So when Godzilla vs. Kong came out, it was like this huge like excitement for this film, and so we saw it, and it was awesome. And let me hear your thoughts first before I go into this.
It was very beautiful, but I felt like, and I do feel like there is a bit of a caveat because I felt like my expectations of this film were crazy. Because I did the mistake of watching the reviews and just like taking in as many of the reviews as possible. And each of the reviews were like, this movie is exactly what you want it to be. It's crazy. It's just nonstop big creatures. And that's not what it was. There were a lot of parts where it kind of dragged on. There were a lot of parts that went very slow. The reviews talked about how they did a lot better with the human characters, because I know that with these films, that's a complaint that a lot of people have, particularly with Godzilla King of the Monsters. To me, this film handled the human characters in the worst possible way than any of the previous ones have. And yeah, like there's what, like 2.5 like really like big hardcore like monster clashes, and then the rest is just kind of spending time with the people. Really, this movie in general just kind of really disappointed me and kind of left more to be wanted.
Yeah. I think that the way that humans were handling King of Monsters was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I love the whole Monarch storyline. I love the fact that like they gave like a separate storyline other than just like monsters fighting, because we've seen that, you know. But like the idea that there was like this huge eco-terrorist war going on or something like that was like, I thought, brilliant. Especially the way that they included Ghidorah's backstory, and like the whole idea that they didn't like give too much away, which I'm really happy about, but they gave just enough to kind of like, one, hit with fans, and two, like really interest people about like, you know, who sent this monster to Earth or something like that. So I was really happy with that. I felt like it was like there was less of a human story in Godzilla vs. Kong, because I think that there was so much built up for the idea of Godzilla vs. Kong that you didn't want to see anything but Godzilla vs. Kong. My main problem, I think, that I have with the film, because I love the film. I love the film, and it's not even really a problem. It's just like a little like thing that I wish that they would have waited on, was the inclusion of Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching the original Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla when I was a kid, and I was obsessed with Godzilla, and I would like rent these movies that I didn't understand. I didn't know how to change it to like English subtitles or whatever, but I would just be watching these movies, and I'd seen that, and the way that they introduced him was so like vicious and awesome, that I was really hoping that it would be more like a third movie kind of thing, like a third Godzilla movie. You know what I mean? Kind of like how they like in like the original Spider-Man trilogy, the final like villain was Venom, right? Yeah. Which I loved, because Venom, to me, even though he's not like, if you ask any comic book person, they're gonna say he's like not like the best like villain in the Spider-Man universe. Yeah. But he's like the exact antithesis, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I don't know if I'm using that word right.
No,
I don't know. He's like the exact like anti-Spider-Man. He's the same thing that Joker is to the Batman, basically. You know what I'm saying? Right. A villain that's like perfectly like in contrast to your hero and stuff like that. So I was really like hoping that they would hold off on Mechagodzilla until the third movie, because I have no idea what they're gonna do for another third movie.
That was gonna be my question to you, is like, where do you see this franchise continuing? Because the Godzilla vs. Kong, I believe, was actually supposed to be like the big conclusion,
really,
to these films. But then it came out and it made a crap ton of cash. Well, yeah, because to kind of go back, this MonsterVerse has continually made less and less with each one that comes out, and because these films involve such big creatures, such a lot of heavy,
CGI and
right
stuff.
It might not have been like directly like made announced, but I believe that this most recent film was supposed to kind of wrap it up. There's a dog barking outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
The dogs are recording their podcast too right
now. The response to this film was just extremely positive. It would be cool to get a King Kong Part 2. That was really interesting that you mentioned that you were like really into Godzilla. To me, it was all about Peter Jackson's King Kong. That film is one of the films that made me want to go into the career path that I did, just because it was so big and like so like, you know what I mean?
It's on is another scale. It was another level of filming. But all of Peter Jackson's films are like that, man.
Oh yeah.
So many. He has such a great lineup of works. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I do definitely want them to continue. I am curious. But let's continue on to talk about a movie that I actually think this is one of the better movies that have come out in 2021. And I know that I am in the minority. Mortal Kombat.
Oh man, again, first of all, shout out to HBO Max for killing the streaming game right now. Like, I haven't even heard of another streaming service right now because they've gotten so, like, 2021 has been like HBO Max's year, I feel like.
Yeah.
They've got, you know, the Snyder Cut of the Justice League, the Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, Fresh Prince reunion, and now they're coming out with a Friends reunion. I don't know if you saw the trailer for that drop last night. Like, they're just killing it. So, yeah, with Mortal Kombat, and they're setting themselves up in such a great position to have, like, future franchises housed under that streaming service. Yeah. Mortal Kombat, again, visually, gorgeous film, bloody, but we love that, you know. Yeah. We're a generation raised on Tarantino films, so, I mean, like, Mortal Kombat was, like, you know, it was awesome. It was one of the better, like, iterations of Mortal Kombat, and I think the reason that people are, like, so divisive about it is because anytime you have a movie that's gonna, like, take on, like a video game franchise or a franchise that has, like, it's gonna do a remake in some way, it's always gonna be met with a lot of criticism, and it's never really gonna, you know, because it's one of those things everyone has an opinion on. But Mortal Kombat, it was awesome. It was a fun ride. It was a great popcorn movie.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's one of the great movie-goer movies, and it made so much money.
It did?
From what I know, it was making a lot of money. I could be wrong. I don't know.
And I do feel like, to an extent, people were kind of too attached to this property. With me, I do play the Mortal Kombat games, but I play them more kind of casually, and I don't really get all that wrapped up in the characters and the plot, which is super sort of complicated and involves like time travel and all these crazy things, but I'm still familiar enough with these characters that when they come up on screen, I can kind of put the pieces.
By the way, you can cut that money comment out because apparently it made shit money. Someone told me it made a lot of money, but my friends are all liars.
Would you want to have the Mortal Kombat universe sort of continue? Would you want to watch these, or?
I don't think there's any reason for it not to. I mean, you know, as long as like it still proves like viable, because I feel like most of the stuff that comes out is like, you know, money. Yeah. It's all about money. It's not even like critic reviews anymore. Yeah. It's all about money. So as long as like it proves viable, I don't see why they can't maybe squeeze one more film out of it, and there's nothing else coming out. You know what I'm saying? So like, what else are people gonna watch? You know, if we don't do something for them.
There's one that I did leave off of this list. I just want to talk about it real quick. I'm curious if you watched it. Did you watch Spiral?
I did not watch Spiral. No. Is that on HBO?
No. So
it's in theaters.
Yeah.
That's the one with Chris Rock.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Do you like the franchise?
I do. I like. To be honest, I haven't like seen a lot of them because they've made so many and they've gone so far with the series. Yeah. I watched the first one and I studied it for my film class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were studying horror, and the story behind that film is kind of crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's awesome, and it's very inspiring for like young filmmakers, especially. Their use of like, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, who's coming up with that right now?
Yeah, no. That film was made from like two kids, right? That had just graduated from college, and they wanted to make a film that primarily took place in one place. What's most impressive to me about that film is the inclusion of Danny Glover, because they only had him for like 2 days, right?
That's just, it's still like that just goes what we like. The whole story behind that film is insane. Like who could do that? You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that just seems so like unfeasible.
Yeah. Until
you see it happen.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I love the first film. I love that first film. It was so good. And what a way to they really knew how to I mean, for a film that took place primarily in that one little dungeon looking room, that one bathroom, I guess, it was so entertaining. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I had big hopes for Spiral. I didn't see it myself, but I know you did.
Yes. It was okay. Being a person that has watched the entire collection, they do get very repetitive. You do come to know what to expect. And with Spiral, when the trailer came out, it looked like they were going to take it in a brand new direction. It was within that same universe, but now Chris Rock, who is the one that came to them and was like, hey, I want to create this. I have, right?
Really?
Like, yeah. But no, I mean, it was just very repetitive. I felt like this could have been called, Saw 10 or whichever one they're on.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And that would have been completely okay. I do know that they're talking about turning the franchise to television, and I think that would be great.
Yes, I do. I agree. I think that if you could handle it in a very delicate way, it could be really interesting. It could be really, like, you could restart the entire franchise. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing that they've been doing with TV shows all the time that are inspired by movies and stuff like that. I think that you could, like, go back to the very first film and remake that film. And you'd probably do it in an entirely different way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. In a much more darker, gory way. Make it like a very short kind of season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. I think people would watch it, especially around Halloween time if it came out. Yeah. Oh my gosh, bro!
Do you typically like really bloody stuff?
I don't really have a preference. I mean, yeah. I mean, most films aren't like as bloody as like Saw is, but like if the story really like grabs my attention, I'm in for it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have like any qualms about it or anything like that. I love Tarantino films. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And those are like super gory and super bloody, but I don't know. You don't really remember them for the blood most of the time, unless you're like really, really sickened by the blood. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it. No. That's my short answer.
And then the last movie that I want to talk about is one that very recently came out. Did you see the trailer for Army of the Dead?
I have not.
No?
I have not. Wow, there's a lot in here that I need to watch.
This is definitely a movie you want to watch on the biggest screen that you possibly can.
It looked like it. I saw the posters for it, and just the poster like alone was like, it's going to be like a huge like visual film.
With this film, they gave him complete creative,
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, Zack Snyder just can't lose at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could do whatever, I guess, he wants now, just because like how many other movies how many other directors do like come out with their original version of the film because there's enough outcry of the fans, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how often does that happen? So he's kind of like, it's kind of like a historical moment, you know what I'm saying? So with the Justice League, so he could really go anywhere and do anything, and they'd just be like, okay, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that if they didn't, there would be an uprising of the fans, probably.
Yeah, but that is one that I definitely want to recommend to you, and then maybe the next time that we can record, we can kind of go more into it.
Yeah.
And talk about it, because I don't want to give anything. This is a movie that it is best if you just go into it completely blind.
Yeah.
Because it's great. Did you want to talk about TV at all, or do you want to keep this just movies?
We can talk about a little bit of television. I watched the Selena series on Netflix. The part 2 came out.
You did. What was your opinion of that?
I think it was pretty well done. Her sister was the executive producer on this one, and I think it was pretty good.
Did you watch the movie?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm wading into like deep waters, because people have big thoughts on the movie versus the TV show, and there was like some controversy around J-Lo originally accepting that role or whatever. But I thought it was good. I really did. I thought that both these actresses did a great job of portraying her, especially in concert. I feel from the live performances that I've seen. Yeah. I think that they did a good job of like showcasing, I guess, her on-stage personality a little bit, Yeah. Selena's one of those hard things to kind of like grasp, I feel like, you know what I mean?
Well, it's definitely a thing that people keep very precious to them, and like with me, like even we grew up with the movie. So whenever they had talked about this TV production coming out, on one hand it's like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's great, you get to bring this to a new crowd. Yeah. But there was that like, but don't
ruin it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But But no, yes, but I completely agree with you. I think that especially part two was really just done incredibly. Part one was good, but I felt like it kind of dragged. It went through things very slowly, and that may have been just because we were wanting to get to the more popular stuff, right? To the more like so.
To which her career was like fully in full effect.
Yeah, and it did take its time to get there, but because of that, we got to learn and care so much about these people and
her siblings especially, man. I feel like her brother, like that dude was a friggin' like like star behind the scenes, bro. He did a lot. I thought it was interesting in part two that they went so much into Yolanda's storyline.
Yeah.
Because if I was producing a film about a family member who had been, killed by this person, and I had to like go and revisit that life, it would kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. So I don't know how they were like doing that,
What was your opinion on how they portrayed her? Because to me, I felt like there were a couple of times where it became a little too cheesy. Like there's one part where it's Yolanda and her and Chris and Selena, they're talking, and Yolanda is standing right next to her, and she like crinkles up like a piece of,
Yeah.
And they were kind of too like blatant with it. How did you? Yeah,
I can appreciate that because, I could see where you're coming from with that, because some of those moments did kind of like feel like not as heavy, I guess, or as real maybe. But at the same time, I don't know. That's interesting. For me, like the craziest part of her whole storyline and the way that they portrayed her was the shrine part, which apparently, from what I hear, is true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she I think she actually did have like a creepy shrine to Selena or whatever. But yeah, I guess that would be like the part I would suggest.
That is right. Like that is like one of the ways that they like introduce her character.
The thing about that part, it could be construed as like, oh, that's a little cheesy. But from what I hear, it was true. Mm-hmm. So maybe it really went down like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was one of those kind of like, I feel like it was like a sleeper hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it was really good. If you haven't seen Selena the series, go watch it. If you haven't seen the original movie of Selena, go watch it. You know what I'm saying? Because those are just like, regardless of what your thoughts are on how they were done, I feel like they are classics and kind of a part of like that family history. You know what I'm saying? Because they all like, the family members had a part in each of those productions. So,
and to kind of go off of that, one thing that's crazy to me is that the movie came out only 2.5 years after, which means that they began production on it like
really soon,
pretty quickly. Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
Right? Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Well, and it does kind of stink because whenever the TV show came out, I did kind of look more just into like, where are these people today?
Yeah.
And they basically all kind of split up her like revenue, and Chris and her dad took each other to court just like over who. Yeah. But it stinks because in both the movie and the TV show, they put just a ton of like, these are like your like closest people, and like it's not about the whole corporate, and then just to have learned that that's what they resulted to today was a bit,
I mean, yeah, man, emotions get high and stuff like that, and people get heated for different reasons. I know that Chris had a hard time after it. He, kind of pulled away from the family. At least this is as far as I know, so I'm getting this wrong. Please don't hate me. But, I heard that he started drinking a lot, drugging a lot, and people just go to dark places,
One TV show that I did want to talk to you about is on Amazon Prime. Have you watched Invincible?
I have not watched Invincible, but me and Jeremy just started The Boys.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Have you seen that?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, no.
It's interesting.
Where are you guys currently in it?
Around episode 4 or 5 or something like that. They just ran that like fastest man in the world race.
Okay.
With that drug.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely one too, where I feel like season 2 is a massive, just it takes off.
That's what people say.
Yeah.
So it has a huge rating on Rotten Tomatoes too, like 97%.
We definitely need to come back and talk about that.
Yeah.
We can even have Jeremy come on,
Most definitely.
too. And yes, and I am very pumped to watch where that will continue.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah, guys. You guys just heard our 2021 in review. Come back where we are going to do part 2, which will be the most anticipated movies of 2021. So yeah, so come back here to the Terminurtle. That's a hard word.
Terminurtle.
So guys, come back here to the Terminurtle channel. You can find him on Instagram at
Zachary Dockal. That's Zachary Dockal. You can also find my work on YouTube at ZJC5 Productions, all one word. Can't wait to see you.
And you can find me at Terminurtle on Instagram. That is TerminurtleE. But we'll catch you guys next time.
Swear we graduated college.